Hey everybody, and welcome back to Mac User, and today we're going to talk about how to create a boot drive using the terminal command for 10.13.6. So without further ado, let's get on with it. Okay, so I've downloaded the macOS installer. So if we go to applications and we locate the file that we've downloaded from the App Store, so I highlight it. If I do command and it gives me the information, and there you can see the build number, so 13.6.02. so that's quite important that we identify the correct build number. So there I've got my installer. I've got my USB drive from an old installer, and I'm now going to go to the Apple website, which I'll post in the links below, giving you the terminal commands for all of the operating systems. So the one I'm looking for here is High Sierra. So from Apple's website, I've identified the terminal command for 10.13. So inside here, I'm just looking to find out what the terminal command is called the USB drive. So we highlight that part when we're going to have to rename our USB drive to make sure it's the same name. So MyVolume, and that can be anything. You can rename it anything you like, but you just need to make sure that's done in terminal command. For ease, I'm just going to call it exactly what the terminal command is. I'll then highlight the entire terminal command. I'm going to copy that into terminal, press paste. Now obviously it prompts you for the password. Once you press enter, put your password in. It has to be the administration password, and then it prompts you a second time, and then obviously put the yes and press enter. So that will take quite a while for that to install onto the USB drive. I'm just going to pause the video until we get to the end. And once it's completed, it will say copy complete, and it says done on the terminal command. And as you can see, the USB drive is now named correctly. I'm going to highlight the actual installer. Right click it and go to the properties of it, and again it sees the installer 13.6.2, and that's pretty much it. So it's pretty easy to cut and paste from the Apple website onto your directory, and then cut and paste and just press enter, put in your admin password, and then just let the installer obviously copy over to the USB drive. It's very important just to let it do that. I used that on the test machine, so I didn't have to worry about that machine, and I just came back to it every couple of minutes just to make sure that, just to keep an eye on it. And that's it really, and then the installer is done. The next thing that you need to then do is test the installer to make sure that it does actually work. So it's pointless you running that terminal command thinking that you've got a USB drive that will be able to install from, and then find out the very first time you run it on a Mac, you find it doesn't actually work properly. So the next port call would always be to test that USB drive to make sure that installer works. That's the end of that podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Quite logical process, quite an easy task to do using the terminal command and a USB drive. The USB drive has to be 8 gig. Make sure it's a minimum of 8 gig so that you can transfer the data across, and the installer that you're calling from the App Store, make sure that is the latest version of the installer. And that's it. Cut and paste, press enter, walk away, have a very long cup of tea, come back, and you should be good to go. Once the installer's done, close terminal, you can eject the USB stick, and then what I would do is, if you've got a test Mac, is then test that Mac to make sure you can install that installer that you've just created. If not, then go back to the App Store. I would delete the old installer that you've downloaded, re-download from the App Store the latest version, and then run the whole process once more. Or try another USB stick. Maybe the USB stick's a little bit corrupt within it. And that's it. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Check back later for another screencast. Have a great day.